Let me ask you something. When we talk about great sex, especially for men, why does the conversation always jump straight to positions, performance, or some secret technique? What if I told you that the things men crave most in bed aren't physical at all, but emotional, psychological, and deeply human? Because the truth is, what turns a moment into something unforgettable isn't what's happening on the outside, it's what's being felt on the inside. When it comes to what men truly want in bed, one of the most powerful and often underestimated elements is genuine enthusiasm from their partner. This isn't about over-the-top acting or pretending to be turned on, it's about showing real, authentic engagement in the moment. Men are incredibly responsive to energy, and when a woman is clearly enjoying herself, expressing pleasure, and fully present in the experience, it creates a feedback loop that amplifies his own arousal and emotional connection. Enthusiasm can be expressed in so many ways, through movement, sounds, facial expressions, and eye contact, as well as initiating touch or guiding the rhythm of the moment. It tells him without words that he's doing something right, that you're not just participating but savoring the intimacy together. This doesn't mean you have to perform or be overly vocal. If that's not naturally you, it simply means being honest with your reactions and not holding back the joy or excitement you feel. Men often carry the silent pressure of needing to perform, to please, to make sure their partner is satisfied. And when you visibly show that you're turned on or enjoying what's happening, that pressure transforms into confidence. And that confidence in turn makes him more relaxed and attentive to you. It creates a safe space where both partners can stop thinking and start feeling, which is where the best sex lives. Enthusiasm also means being open to trying, to laughing if things get awkward, to asking for what you want or expressing curiosity about what he likes. That shared vulnerability and active engagement is what turns a physical act into an emotionally charged, passionate experience. It moves sex from being routine or transactional into something personal and unforgettable. A man doesn't just want to feel like he's having sex, he wants to feel like you're having sex with him, not just to him. That might sound simple, but the difference is massive. Passive participation feels hollow over time, no matter how physically attractive the person is. But when someone shows up fully, emotionally and energetically, it taps into something deeper. That kind of connection doesn't require elaborate scenarios or wild experimentation. It's built in the moment, through mutual presence and shared pleasure. And when a man feels that, when he sees his partner genuinely turned on and loving the moment, it affirms his value, deepens his trust, and heightens his desire, not just for the act, but for the connection behind it. Enthusiasm is, in a way, the most powerful aphrodisiac, not because it changes what happens in bed, but because it transforms how both people feel during it. It's not about being loud or bold, it's about being there fully, and letting him see and feel that you're not just along for the ride, but enjoying every second of it right beside him. Men, just like women, have a deep desire to feel wanted. And in the context of intimacy, this sense of being desired can often be more impactful than the physical act itself. When a man feels that his partner is truly attracted to him, not just going through the motions or participating out of obligation, it speaks directly to his core need for validation, admiration, and emotional connection. This isn't about constant compliments or exaggerated flattery. Rather, it's the small, intentional gestures that signal genuine sexual interest, such as initiating touch, making eye contact, whispering something bold or playful, or simply expressing longing in a way that feels natural and spontaneous. Too often, men are expected to be the sole initiators, constantly making the first move, constantly reading cues, and constantly risking rejection, even within long-term relationships. When the dynamic shifts and a woman confidently signals that she wants him, craves him, or is thinking about him in that way, it turns the experience into something mutual, and that mutual desire creates a far deeper level of arousal and connection. This can be expressed verbally through phrases like, "I've been thinking about you all day," or non-verbally through subtle touches or lingering glances that hint at what's on your mind. These expressions don't have to be theatrical or overly sexual. Even casual moments of affection that imply desire, like running your fingers across his chest or holding eye contact with a smirk, can be incredibly powerful. They tell him he's attractive, not just in a general way, but to you in that moment. That's what makes it land emotionally. It's also important to understand that men often feel pressure to always be ready or interested in sex. And this expectation can make them feel like objects of performance, rather than people to be desired. When you flip the script and show initiative, whether that's planning a romantic evening, surprising him with a seductive message, or simply reaching out for him first, it disrupts that performance-based dynamic and introduces a new layer of emotional safety and confidence. He no longer feels like he's pursuing something he might not receive. Instead, he feels chosen. And being chosen is one of the most affirming emotions anyone can experience, especially in a world that constantly tells men they have to earn every moment of intimacy. This sense of being desired fosters vulnerability, passion, and trust, because he knows he's not alone in wanting this connection. It's something you both seek and enjoy. When men feel wanted by their partner, it enhances not just their sexual satisfaction, but their emotional intimacy, their willingness to open up, and their commitment to the relationship as a whole. Desire, when expressed sincerely and confidently, becomes a kind of emotional glue that bonds partners together, creating a space where both people feel seen, valued, and deeply connected beyond just the physical level. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can bring into the bedroom, and for men, it often outweighs physical appearance, technique, or any kind of performance-based skill. What many people misunderstand is that confidence isn't about being dominant or having all the answers. It's about being present, self-assured, and comfortable in your own skin, regardless of whether your body fits a certain beauty standard or you've memorized every move from a magazine article. When a woman is confident, it sends a powerful signal that she is not only comfortable with herself, but also comfortable with her partner, which creates an atmosphere of ease and emotional safety. This energy is contagious. It invites both people to let go of pressure, to stop judging themselves or overthinking, and to be fully immersed in the experience. Men often carry silent insecurities about their own performance, their desirability, or whether they're truly satisfying their partner. And when they sense a woman is confident in expressing what she wants, what feels good, and what she enjoys, it quiets that mental noise and allows him to show up more authentically. Confidence also opens the door for honest communication, guiding him with touch, giving feedback through sound or movement, or even simply stating a desire out loud. And that kind of vulnerability, far from being intimidating, is deeply attractive because it builds trust. It reassures him that he's not guessing or performing for approval, but instead sharing an experience with someone who is emotionally and physically present. This doesn't mean that confidence has to look bold or loud. It can be quiet, subtle, even tender, like the way someone maintains eye contact or lets themselves be seen fully without hiding under the covers. It's also about permission, the internal permission a woman gives herself to enjoy pleasure, to receive without guilt, to ask without shame, and to show up without editing or apologizing for her body, her sounds, or her desires. Men are drawn to this sense of ownership, not because it's aggressive, but because it reflects self-respect and authenticity, which are far more erotic than trying to be perfect or rehearsed. The irony is that chasing perfection, whether in looks or in technique, often leads to disconnection because it pulls people out of the moment, whereas confidence brings people into deeper presence, where true intimacy can thrive. A confident partner doesn't need to impress. They invite connection, they inspire trust, and they give their partner the freedom to explore without fear of judgment or failure. For a man, this is liberating. It removes the pressure to perform and replaces it with the thrill of co-creation. Confidence in bed is not about being flawless. It's about being real, being embodied, and being willing to let yourself be seen, heard, and felt as you truly are, which in turn allows him to do the same. Verbal and non-verbal feedback during intimacy plays a crucial role in shaping a man's sexual experience, often more than he'll openly admit, because these cues offer him real-time insight into how his partner is feeling, how connected she is, and how much she's enjoying the moment. Men, despite cultural narratives that paint them as purely visual or physical creatures, are often deeply affected by the emotional and sensory environment created through subtle forms of communication. and they look to their partner's responses, moans, sighs, changes in breathing, the way she moves her body, the look in her eyes, for validation, encouragement, and guidance. These signals tell him, without the need for detailed instructions, that he's on the right track, that he's pleasing her, and that he's not alone in the experience. When a woman gives feedback, whether through a whispered phrase like, "That feels amazing," or through the simple act of grabbing him tighter or arching her back, it awakens something primal in him, not just sexual satisfaction, but a sense of emotional achievement, as if he's unlocking a part of her no one else can. That response becomes its own kind of reward, making him more present, more attuned, and more eager to meet her needs. In contrast, silence or emotional distance during sex, even when unintentional, can leave a man second-guessing himself, wondering if he's doing something wrong, if she's disconnected, or if she's simply tolerating rather than enjoying the moment, which can pull him out of the experience and make him self-conscious. It's not that a man needs constant praise or exaggerated reactions, but small, authentic responses go a long way in helping him stay connected and confident. Eye contact, especially during moments of intense closeness, has its own kind of language. It says, "I see you," "I trust you," or even "don't stop." And that level of unspoken communication often carries more emotional weight than words ever could. Physical feedback, like responding with movement, matching rhythm, or adjusting to guide him where it feels best, also builds a rhythm that feels co-created, not performed, and that shared energy turns the moment into something much more than just physical gratification. Even giving direction, when done with kindness and presence, is deeply appreciated, because it shows that she knows herself, knows what she likes, and trusts him enough to let him in on that truth, which only deepens intimacy. Verbal and non-verbal cues work together to make intimacy feel alive, dynamic, and emotionally rich, rather than static or transactional. For a man who cares about his partner's pleasure, and most do far more than they get credit for, those signs of pleasure, honest, raw, and unfiltered, are not only affirming, they're motivating. They let him know he's desired, appreciated, and connected to something real, which is ultimately what elevates the sexual experience from mere physicality to something deeply meaningful, lasting, and emotionally satisfying on both sides. Playfulness and variety are essential ingredients in creating a truly memorable and fulfilling sexual connection, especially for men who often feel boxed into repetitive patterns or silently pressured to perform in predictable ways. While routine can offer comfort, over time it can dull the excitement that makes intimacy feel electric, and introducing playfulness into the sexual dynamic breathes life back into the experience by inviting spontaneity, curiosity, and a sense of shared adventure. Playfulness doesn't have to mean being silly or theatrical. It simply means allowing space for laughter, exploration, and emotional ease during intimate moments, which reduces pressure and replaces it with presence. When a woman brings a playful energy into the bedroom, whether by initiating in an unexpected way, teasing with flirtatious humor, suggesting something new with a smile, or just allowing the moment to unfold without taking everything so seriously, it helps her partner feel relaxed, accepted, and more connected to her emotionally. This emotional connection is important because it creates a sense of safety that encourages both partners to drop their guards and be more open to trying new things without fear of judgment or rejection. For men, who are often conditioned to pursue performance over presence, this playful energy becomes liberating because it signals that intimacy is not just a test to pass or a script to follow, but a shared experience meant to be enjoyed and explored together. Variety also plays a key role in keeping sex exciting, and it doesn't require dramatic changes or wild experimentation. Sometimes even the smallest shifts, like a new setting, a different time of day, altered pacing, or a slight change in role or tone, can reignite desire and make the experience feel fresh again. It's the act of intention, of showing that you're still curious about each other and willing to engage in the unknown, that stimulates not just physical arousal but emotional connection. Men appreciate when their partner takes initiative in this space, not because they expect constant novelty, but because it communicates that she's still interested, still excited, and still willing to grow with him sexually. That curiosity, expressed through gentle exploration or humorous moments when things don't go perfectly, adds a layer of realness that makes the experience more human and ultimately more bonding. If something unexpected happens, like an awkward sound, a misstep, or an unplanned interruption, being able to laugh together, adapt, and continue without shame reinforces the idea that sex doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful or fun. This kind of emotional resilience, built through shared play, creates a deeper foundation of trust where both partners feel comfortable expressing fantasies, asking questions, or shifting dynamics without fear of rejection. For men who often feel they must hold emotional and sexual control at all times, being in a space where it's okay to laugh, experiment, or simply not know what comes next is a relief. And that relief turns into excitement because it removes pressure and replaces it with genuine connection. Playfulness reminds both people that sex isn't a performance, it's a playground, and variety becomes the invitation to keep discovering each other over time. This ongoing discovery, fueled by lightness, humor, and openness, is what keeps sexual chemistry alive in the long term. And for men, it communicates not just that they are desired, but that they are trusted, enjoyed, and safe to be fully themselves, which elevates the intimacy to something much deeper than just physical satisfaction. Emotional connection plays a pivotal role in enhancing sexual chemistry for men. Even though society often paints them as primarily physical beings driven only by visual or tactile stimulation, when in reality, many men deeply crave emotional closeness in order to fully enjoy and engage in intimacy. This connection doesn't always need to be verbalized or dramatic. It can be felt in the subtle layers of trust, attention, vulnerability, and presence that exist between two people. And it has the power to transform a sexual encounter from something transactional or mechanical into something deeply meaningful and fulfilling. When a man feels emotionally connected to his partner, he feels safe, accepted, and free to let go of the emotional armor that he may carry in other areas of life, including in relationships, and especially in the bedroom, where performance pressure and unspoken expectations can sometimes make the experience more stressful than pleasurable. Emotional connection makes room for authenticity, where he can express his real desires, take emotional and physical risks, and be vulnerable without fear of being judged, shamed, or rejected. And this freedom deepens not only his arousal, but his ability to give and receive pleasure more fully. Often, men are taught to suppress their emotional needs, to value independence over intimacy, and to prove themselves through conquest or control. But in a space where emotional connection is prioritized, these walls can start to fall away, and what's left is a man who feels seen, valued, and safe to be soft, open, and expressive. This doesn't mean the sex becomes less passionate. It often becomes more intense, because it's fueled by emotional safety rather than surface-level thrill. And that safety allows both partners to let go of ego, performance anxiety, and emotional distance. For a man, knowing that his partner respects him, listens to him, and appreciates not only his body, but his mind and heart builds a foundation of trust that can turn even the most physically simple encounters into moments of real intimacy and power. It's also in this emotional space that he's more likely to open up about his fantasies, his needs, and his insecurities, which creates opportunities for deeper sexual exploration and bonding that goes far beyond technique or physical attraction. Small things, like showing genuine interest in how he's feeling, offering physical affection outside of sex, validating his efforts, or simply being emotionally available, can all contribute to a stronger emotional connection that spills over into the bedroom. This connection gives meaning to the act itself, transforming it from a release of tension into an expression of love, closeness, and mutual respect. And it allows a man to connect sex with emotional nourishment rather than just physical gratification. Men may not always articulate this need directly, but when it's met, it changes how they show up. They become more attentive, more present, and more giving, because they no longer feel the need to prove themselves or chase validation. Instead, they feel safe to give from a place of fullness, knowing that they are accepted not just for what they do, but for who they are. And in that space, sex becomes a sacred exchange where emotional and physical intimacy blend into something that satisfies on every level: body, mind, and soul. In the end, what makes sex truly great for a man isn't found in a checklist of techniques or bedroom acrobatics. It's rooted in emotional connection, mutual desire, and shared presence. It's the feeling of being wanted, accepted, and understood by a partner who shows up fully, both physically and emotionally. Men crave confidence, authenticity, responsiveness, playfulness, and a sense of safety where vulnerability isn't punished but welcomed. When these elements come together, sex stops being just an act and becomes an experience. Something alive, co-created, and deeply fulfilling. It's not about performance, it's about connection. And when that connection is there, the chemistry takes care of itself.